Welcome back to Bricks and Trips. I know it's only the middle of October, but we're starting with something a little bit festive. Sorry about that. I know Christmas still feels like a long time away, but Lego takes some time to build. We did build this one last year. It was the Alpine Lodge market stall. There's sort of like a little skating rink outside, and I loved how it ended up looking. But this year I want to go with something a little bit bigger. So seeing as this is the only time of the year where I'm allowed to bring Lego into the living room, I may as well make the most of it. So last year we had the Alpine Lodge just on this little dinky table over here. A nice fitting little display, but it needs a little bit of room to grow this year. So we're moving over to the big unit. It's actually a little bit narrow on the top, but it's got a much wider span to it, so it should give plenty of room for some of the newer buildings to go. And we're going to start down here with the Lego Art of Chocolate, one of the best Lego modular buildings I have ever built. And it just has that Christmas vibe to it. If you've ever seen one of the Limax Christmas villages, the quaint little towns, it just oozes that Austrian chocolate shop feel. Unfortunately, I think where I'm going to be placing it this year, it'll probably lose the ability to be a proper open back, but I'm just really glad to be able to showcase this right up front and centre in the living room. But I'm sure you'd agree, a Christmas village is not one building. And as you already know, I am a Harry Potter fan, and 2025 has been the best year to be a Harry Potter fan wanting to build a Christmas village. Because, of course, this September 2025, they released the Hogsmeade Village Collector's Edition. I can't wait to build this up. 3,228 pieces. Quite a hefty box, and honestly, I was expecting this to be a little bit bigger, but having seen it in person in the shops, I think they've settled on a fantastic size. Unfortunately, it does have the open backs that the Diagon Alley set has as well, but that doesn't detract from the overall look of this set. And of course, this set comes with a fantastic selection of minifigures. 12 in total. Of course, starting off, you've got the Golden Trio, Harry, Ron and Hermione, but then you've actually got some slightly less well-known characters mixed in. So you've got Aberforth Dumbledore, Katie Bell, Draco Malfoy, Professor McGonagall, Cornelius Fudge, Horace Slughorn, Madame Rosmerta, Mrs. Flume, and, of course, the unforgettable shop staff. And once you spin the box around, you get a view of the wonderfully decorated interiors in this set. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of open back sets, but I do appreciate the level of detail that goes into these. So just have a quick look on these. Obviously we'll have a look when we've built up the full set. We've got Zonko's on the far left. I believe that's the Hog's Head, with Aberforth Dumbledore inside. Of course, the three broomsticks and Honeydukes over on the furthest side. I loved the similarly themed Weasley Wizard Wheezes building as part of Diagon Alley. I thought some of the part usage inside that for sort of the staircases and the suites was really good. I'm hoping that this set has slightly less stickers than the Diagon Alley set, but I haven't actually opened it yet to be able to know. And as Lego very often does, we have a lovely little still from one of the movies, alongside a couple of these sort of interior shots. A horse! This set comes with a horse, I didn't realise that. And the measurements on the left-hand side. As I've learnt with Lego, take these with a small grain of salt. They're not always the most accurate, especially when they've got overhanging pieces, but I'm sure we'll be alright with this set. I know plenty of people don't like collecting boxes, and I don't for the smaller sets, but for the big, the collector's editions, things like the Disney Castle, I do quite like to hold on to these things, just to sort of retain that future value if I ever did decide to sell it, which is unlikely, but it's possible. Be careful, boys and girls. Why do they always have so much sellotape on these things? This makes me nervous every single time. That's all the ones from the top. I'll see you when I've got it open. And here we go. Let's try and get it open. And of course, we're back to paper bags with Lego. I think that's a really good innovation that they've come up with in the last few years. You know, we are all trying to be a little bit more sustainable in everything that we're doing day to day. And I know that Lego is in the industry of making things out of plastic, but there really was no need to make the bags out of unrecyclable materials. So good on you, Lego, for keeping with the times. And now I've created what my wife would consider a mess. But all the bags are sorted, which is like one of my favourite things to do. I don't know if anybody else does that when they get Lego sets for the first time. Dump out all the bags and then put them back in the box in reverse order. It stops all the hunting for the bag numbers and you can just get on with it. I love that. Also, I do love the pre-moulded Lego horses. I think this might be my first ever pre-moulded Lego horse that I've actually ever owned. This is very exciting, a monumental day. But of course, this set will come on 3 of the finest dark grey Lego base plates. It won't be living on those. I'm going to be putting it in the Winter Village, so I'm going to have to figure out a different way. I'll probably just build them up directly on some plates, which I'll reinforce. Which reminds me I need to get some plates to be able to reinforce them. We don't need that. What we want is Lego instruction books. Of course, in the lovely paper packaging that these come in these days. And oh my lord, the first thing I see is sticker sheets. 3 enormous sticker sheets. Don't get me wrong, I've seen bigger, but 43 unique elements, and some of them, like the butterbeer, for example, are duplicated up. Oh, we're going to have to do some careful sticking with this set. Let's put these right over here for safekeeping. And get into the instruction book. Ooh, instruction books. Plural. 1, 2, 3 of them, to be precise. Do love getting multiple instruction books as part of a set, especially ones such as this where it breaks down into the multiple builds. It makes so much sense to be able to build this with a friend or with family, or honestly, if you're a bit like me and you're not particularly great at keeping these things in perfect condition, you can put that away and get a nice fresh new one out for every single book. I can't wait for these. And there we go, all put back in the box. I don't think I mentioned in the last one, there's 30 bags in this set, which seems like a lot. I wonder if it's actually 10 bags per book, which would make a lot of sense. But it does hit that sweet range where it's about 100 pieces per bag, which for me always feels like just about the right amount. Let's get it cleared off and let's get some base plates on here. And that's it! Lego Winter Village completed. I mean, of course it's not, but this doesn't look like an awful lot of work. But this is about 2.5 hours of Legoing, which doesn't sound like an awful lot, but I can assure you that my fingers hurt. I don't normally build for big periods of time, normally an hour tops if I'm really into a set. But these Mills plates, where you get a little bit more height off the base plate because you've used a full brick height on the edge of them, they do take a long time to build, and even longer when all of the little white panel pieces on the top are stuck together because you've tried to be efficient at the pad wall. But at the moment I'm quite happy with how it's ended up. I know it's only like a white sheet of snow at the moment, but you can just about see where I'm starting to basically rough in one of the main pathways. So there'll be sort of like a cobble street, and I'm hoping to put maybe just a Christmas tree, like a relatively little one, somewhere in here, maybe about sort of 8 to 10 bricks tall, something like that. And then obviously the cobblestones all the way up to this side as well. You'll see this looks like a bit of a mess, but this is where the Art of Chocolate's going to go on this side. So I wanted to give it some support still underneath, but I also didn't want it to be fully attached to the base plates because that's just going to cause headaches for myself in the future. And now we do that thing where we very, very carefully try to place a Lego set up in a corner without dropping it, knocking it, falling over, or doing any of the other stupid YouTube things. That went remarkably well. And there it is, first building placed. So I really do love this set. I think it's going to fit that Winter Village aesthetic so much. Still got this border all around the edge, which I think I'm going to remove as part of the integration into this whole Winter Village. But I've still got enough room for the whole of the Hogsmeade set. So I'm probably going to put maybe Zonkos back here for a little bit lower height. And then right here, the three broomsticks. And on this side, it'll be Honeydukes. That does mean I've actually got to start building Hogsmeade, which is an entire project all in itself. But honestly, about 3 hours of work just to try and get it to this state. I know I feel like I'm starting this so early, but the reality is it is less than 10 weeks until Christmas. And I want this set up and I want to see this from ideally early November, middle of November at the latest. But for today, I think 3 hours is enough work for one video. So thanks again. Please remember to do all the wonderful YouTube algorithm stuff. And obviously stay tuned for how this goes. We'll see you next time. Bye.